Hi, Karl Schilling here with you again today. And today is episode 12 on financial transformation. I'm so grateful to be here with you again today. I wanted to make sure that you knew about a white paper. We're following through on the 7 most damaging investing behaviors. Again, as always, we have an interactive video. This here is just a YouTube video, but there is an interactive video done afterwards from a wonderful company called Enfuse. It's just a phenomenal platform. And we do that interactive video, which will give you opportunities to pull the white paper down, go to the places we talk about like EXP and Kyle and those people, and you can go directly to them. There's a phone call, a little tablet, a little phone, that soft phone that allows you to call me direct connect. Just a lot of wonderful interactivity in those videos, okay? So always look for that. We put it here at the bottom of the platform too when you're on YouTube, and you'll see there's a link to go for an interactive video instead of just the YouTube video itself, okay? But again, Advocacy Network, and you know what we do. You know all about us. I don't have to continually repeat it. But the bottom line is we want to create awareness, provide financial literacy education, and help people just like yourself become financially independent, because it's a wonderful calling and it's important. Everybody in our society could be financially independent. That's not a Pollyannish kind of thought. It's amazing with the wealth and everything we have in this nation. People tend to focus on the negatives all the time. They focus on the so-called 1%. Like everybody is a big pig and a big hog, and they're all hogging all of these things, and it's scarcity, and I have nothing left for me. That's just not true. It's not true. Okay? There's more than enough for everybody. We live in an abundance, a world of abundance, but we have to tap in and take advantage of it. We can't just sit back and wait for it to show up on our doorstep. It doesn't work that way. So it's out there, it's available, and that's why we do these things. That's why we talk about these things. And today we're going to talk about something very important called the normalcy bias. And this is one of the things that keeps everybody locked into these positions where only 5% of our society become financially independent. And that's ridiculous. There is no reason whatsoever that 25 to 30% of our population shouldn't be financially independent. Just none. But yet we are there. And for hundreds of years, we've been there. We continue to be there for the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's all perceptional. It's all in the way you believe, build your values, and see things. There's just no doubt about it. Now, the normalcy bias, let me read this to you really quick, because this describes it the best. A quirk of the human condition is for the mind to desire normalcy. And it does this so intensely as it consciously or subconsciously disregards knowledge that is disrupted to a preconditioned reality. This phenomena is an important part of crisis management and market psychology. The consequence of the normalcy bias is that warning signs of a potential crisis go unnoticed, or they're interpreted obviously optimistically. When a crisis occurs, people are so overwhelmed by events inconsistent with a desired reality, they lose their ability to make decisions. Researchers believe when the mind encounters an entirely new experience or event, it attempts to match that reality to irrelevant experiences of the past, looking for good things that happened in the past to match it up. If there are no matching experiences, the mind enters into a kind of feedback loop, resulting in passivity. In other words, if I can't find anything to link it to that is going to be positive, I end up in on the treadmill. It's like the record, you know, the record when it gets stuck in the needle and just goes around and around and around and around and around. That's what happens. Okay, that's what the normalcy bias is. Now, once you understand this, the lack of action that you take as a response to risk is called a negative panic, and it culminates in a dangerous inability to act assertively in a crisis. So no decision becomes a decision. Leads to procrastination, which is lesson 13, episode 13. Okay? So in essence, the psyche struggles to come to terms with what is really happening. And behind it, we end up in paralysis because we can't relate or we can't accept the reality of what's happening. It's why there's a panic and a rush on the markets. In 1927, it's the panic that drove this. It's a normalcy bias. Was it a crisis? Absolutely. Did people react responsively and the way they should have? No, not at all. So again, it's a very important part of your making smart decisions about money. Now, before we get going on that, once again, I wanted to mention our good friends, Kyle Handy and EXP. I'm always talking about this because it is such a market disruption. It is such a shift. I'm always looking for market disruptions because that's where real wealth is created. That's where real gains happen. Market disruptions are powerful. And if you get on those, not at the beginning, you don't have to be at the very beginning. You just need to be in the early stages before something becomes really, really prevalent. And at that point in time, all of the great gains have been already earned. No problem. EXP is one of those great opportunities. And if you're a realtor who's a licensed realtor, you certainly need to be looking at it. You can develop hundreds and thousands of realtors in your organization across the country, even in Canada, without an office or without anything going on, and you can earn direct, residual, and passive income. Call Kyle, let him speak to you, see how it works, okay? All right, now, back to the normalcy bias, all right? So here's what goes on in the financial decision-making process, all right? One can always measure your loss in both the present and the future. And you can do that based upon procrastination, okay? Because I promise you, nothing ever good comes from procrastinating. It's a decision not to make a decision. Again, tomorrow we're going to go deeply into procrastination, but everybody suffers from this. Again, everything we discuss and have discussed in financial transformation, the amazing part of it is that every single human being walking the earth is subject to these very psychological events. There is nobody special. There is nobody outside of these. It's basic human behavior. We've always been talking about the law of cause and effect, the law of reaping and sowing. These are basic human behaviors in human nature. Now, the successful people are able to acknowledge, be aware, and recognize the nature of human behavior, okay? And when they do recognize it, they're able to make adjustments, okay? They make adjustments. That's what successful people do. I was a baseball coach for many, many years, was involved in professional baseball, and I want to tell you, it's a game of adjustments. Pitchers make adjustments on hitters who make adjustments on pitchers who make other adjustments. The most successful players in that game, based on failure, remember, baseball is a game based on failure, just like business. It's the same thing. If a baseball player is successful, a hitter is successful 3 out of 10 times, they're basically on their way to the Hall of Fame. That means they failed 70% of the rest of the time. But somehow they understand the perception and the vision of failure, and they know how to make adjustments. It's no different with your life and money. You need to know what these biases are. You need to pull these biases out so they don't create dysfunction in your financial life. And then after you pull these biases out and you recognize them for what they are, you're able to build yourself I like to call it a jigsaw puzzle, but you're able to build yourself a jigsaw puzzle of making good financial decisions about all the pieces that are required for you to become financially independent. Now, you cannot do that without two things. One, you can't do it without very, very strong self-awareness. It's number one. You have to be self-aware. But in order to become self-aware, you need a coach or you need an advocate. You need someone who can recognize the things going on that you potentially at this moment are blinded to. Now, once that person can help you identify those biases and tear them away, your self-awareness can help propel you to where you want to go. But the only way to get that self-awareness is to work with someone who understands this stuff and can help you through it. That's what we do here at the Advocacy Network. That's who we are. Now, before we finalize and finish up today, I do want to mention further on that. What we've done at the Advocacy Network is we have mirrored and we've taken it from our friends at EXP who did this magnificent virtual campus. It was a magnificent thing. So we have done the same thing in the financial services arena that they've done in the real estate side, creating the opportunity for direct residual and passive income for financial services professionals. But at the same time, for people like yourself who may not be in the financial services industry or may not be interested in that kind of thing, we have the virtual campus that's going to allow you to recognize and become aware and get the financial literacy education you so desire. Now, it's there. It's going to be magnificent. It's a wonderful 3D virtual platform. It's a tremendous learning environment. You don't have to go down to the local hotel for a seminar. You don't have to show up for a steak dinner. You don't have to go anywhere. And it's available 24/7, 365. So you can pick any time of the night or day that you want to take a little bit of information, get a little education, and just kind of tap in. It's there for you. So call me on that. We get you all set up in our the Advocacy Network virtual campus. All right, now in closing out today, so what we wanted to talk about, the normalcy bias. Look, the initial step in correcting this psychologically driven cycle is to overcome the fear of change, because it's all really kind of bent and built in, okay? Just as the normalcy bias overcomes individuals in disaster-based crises, it now exists due to the ineffective awareness of a permanent changing economic environment. Our economic environment always changes. And if you listen to the money magazines and to the financial talking heads and all the pundits, they will mislead and misdirect you for their own purposes. Those purposes are for them to get more advertising dollars, to keep driving their own economic growth, which is fine. But by the time they tell you in one of those magazines about a cycle for a company or a cycle for a stock, it's over. The run has already happened. You're getting old information. You're getting yesterday's news. Now, nobody has inside information because it's illegal. We know plenty of people still play that game, but it's illegal, so nobody has that. But to have month-old, 2-month-old, 8-month-old, 10-month-old information is just, it's just as ridiculous. Okay, so the bottom line is that you need to make good decisions based on good information. You need to understand where you're getting the information, who's providing the information. Is it a reliable source? Have you sourced the source? Or do you just listen to people because, oh, they got a lot of listeners, they should know what they're talking about, or a lot of people follow them? Have you ever really dug down deep to find out, are any of those people who are following them actually doing well? Are they actually successful? Is that information actually good? So again, these are all things that kind of come into these biases, okay? So I want you to realize that right now, you know, we have recycled into a global economic trend, and investors need to start embracing the way opportunity is going to present itself in a new type of environment. Just like I talked to you about EXP and other things, market disruptions, the ability for big change, new technology. Things are going to alter the way things are done. Those are opportunities. Those are tremendous opportunities because they're the wave of the future. Now, are all of them good? Not really, because you have to follow the bouncing ball. You have to look at what they're going to be in 10, 15, 20, 25 years. What is going to be the impact? Is it going to have an impact that's going to have a lasting effect for 25 or 50 years? Is it going to be a Henry Ford moment? Is it going to be a car, you know, the automobile, what it did? Well, anyway, we got a little outside today. We got a little lengthy, so I noticed the clock is running, and we're going to have to close out. Tomorrow, we're going to close up with procrastination being the last of these 7, and I'm going to show you some of the issues back on normalcy bias, and we'll kind of blend it back together. But again, money's always money. You got to know that. It's the way you perceive your own beliefs and values. It's the way you understand human nature. It's the way you make the changes necessary for you to be successful. We can help you with that. We want all the people to become financially independent. So give me a call. Let's talk. Got any questions? I'm always available. And it's all about you becoming financially independent. Have a great day.